Good morning and welcome to today's daily reflection. Now, we all like a good rant at something every now and again. It seems to do us good by getting something off our chest. No one was as good as Basil Fawlty from BBC's Fawlty Towers when it came to a good old rant. My favourite was when his car refused to start. Even though the series is almost 49 years old, the sight of Basil, who then left the car to return and thrash the car with a branch of a tree in a fit of rage, still has me in stitches. But how to begin explaining the logic about rebuking an inanimate object? I think we've all been there at some time. Who hasn't rebuked a car that won't start, a computer that won't switch on, or a great favourite is always a printer that the computer sitting next to it can't find? The weather, another good one. Maybe we don't like the cold and the snow the way some of us do, so we rebuke it. But the rebuke changes nothing. The cold and the snow keep coming until the weather eventually changes of its own accord. Rebuke, that's an interesting word. The dictionary definition says that to rebuke means to criticise sharply, or it could mean to reprimand someone. I know I've been on the receiving end of a few reprimands in my time, but how many of us have reprimanded God every time we think he hasn't answered our prayers, or we think we know better? This all fits into today's set reading, which is from Luke chapter 4, verses 38 to 44, but I want to concentrate only on verses 38 and 39. After leaving the synagogue that day, Jesus went to Simon's home, where he found Simon's mother-in-law very sick with a high fever. "Please heal her," everyone begged. Standing at her bedside, he rebuked the fever, and it left her, and she got up at once and prepared a meal for them. This is the word of the Lord. To quickly read those verses, it's easy to miss exactly what Jesus was doing there. The word rebuke seemed to jump off the page to me. It jumped off the page because of the way the word is used here. Jesus actually rebuked an inanimate object. Standing at her bedside, he rebuked the fever, and it left her, and she got up at once and prepared a meal for them. Jesus rebuked the fever, and it left her. There was no wait for the ibuprofen to kick in and take effect. There was no gradual recovery on a hospital bed before she could get up with some assistance and leave. It left her, so quickly in fact that she was immediately able to get up and go about her normal routine by beginning to serve Jesus and his disciples. Jesus here rebukes sickness, but in the three synoptic Gospels he also rebuked the weather. But soon a fierce storm came down on the lake, the boat was filling with water, and they were in real danger. The disciples went up and woke him and shouted, "Master, Master, we're going to drown." When Jesus woke up, he rebuked the wind and the raging waves. Suddenly the storm stopped, and all was calm. But even the disciples themselves suffered from the odd rebuke or two from Jesus. One in particular was while he was explaining to them he would have to suffer and die. The disciples obviously didn't understand at that time that it was necessary for Jesus to suffer and die, so Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. "Never, Lord," he said, "this shall never happen to you." His rebuke was swiftly followed by a rebuke from Jesus himself, accusing Peter of being a stumbling block to me. But what about us, you and me? Are we due a rebuke from Jesus for anything? The book of Proverbs reminds us that the wise should be willing to hear instruction and guidance, something the fool despises and ignores. It is easy to ignore the advice and guidance of others. But the verses from Proverbs chapter 1 remind us that wisdom is sharing the gospel. But some do not listen. Wisdom says, if you listen and turn, the Spirit will be poured out on you. She says she will make her words known to this person who listens, revealing all that God has for us. But some of it is a warning. If we do not heed her wisdom, she says that if we refuse to listen, she will laugh when we do call, because she will not answer. So to return to our inanimate objects, who cares if we do get angry at an inanimate object? It doesn't hurt anyone, does it? Or does it? I believe God cares about those moments of anger, as do those people around us. When our anger flares up at a chair leg or our mobile phone, it can reveal a truth about the state of our heart. It may well be that God wants us to take time to spend a moment in prayer, or maybe he simply wants to give us an opportunity to practice patience. On a subject of which, I want to finish with a prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So whatever you're doing today, this week, have a good week, and do it with a smile. Bye for now.